Joel Nielsen.
John Airnoff, operation.
Jason Vanderbeek.
Sean Ward.
And Kimberly is ill. She is joining us via Zoom, I think, at least listening, but doesn't want to be seen or heard. So sorry, Kimberly. Hope you're feeling better. Any public comment? Nothing? Okay. We need to handle a couple things in the volunteer pension board. So I will open the volunteer pension board meeting, and we have the December 15th minutes. Is there a motion to approve those minutes?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, it's moved and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
It's unanimous. Chief, we have a invoice voucher for $1,050. This is to cover our annual pension and disability coverage for the volunteer group. Is that a per member thing?
Yes.
Or, okay. All right. So we need a motion to approve the invoice voucher for $1,050 for the volunteers.
So moved. Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
It's unanimous. Chief, any other business for the volunteer pension board?
No, sir.
All right, we'll go ahead and adjourn the pension board meeting and open the regular Board of Commissioners meeting. And I'd like to adjust the agenda as we have Richard Davis here to talk about a new potential legal issue. And correct me if I'm wrong, this is the taxing issue that the city of Blaine might or could consider. Increment, is it, what's it called, increment-based tax or increment something? I thought the board should, we talked about this briefly before, and it was either in the paper or where did I hear about this, but the city was talking about doing a new way of taxing, which has an impact to us as the fire district. And so I think our board needs to be aware of that and potentially talk with the city about what the impacts of that could be to us in the future if they choose to do that. So, Mr. Davis, if you would give us the quick version. Thank you. Um, so I guess the bottom line here is this is a way for cities to circumvent a junior taxing district's ability to tax its population. And who sponsored this legislation or was pushing it? Was this the Association of Washington Cities, or do you know who drove this bus?
Do we know when the city wants to start this?
We just heard, I don't know where I read it or how I heard about it, but somehow it was brought up that this is a potential way for the city to get more money without raising everyone's taxes. Basically, we can just rob from the fire district if we so choose. Did I bring it to you or did
You brought it to me.
Yeah.
I believe the conversation we had was that they're looking at it in a small area up off of H Street to, Joel, I cannot remember the name of the development, or east on H Street.
Martin property or Grandis?
I think it's the Martin property.
And this is areas that doesn't have sewer or
Sewer, water.
roads or,
So they're looking at this as a way to fund the building of infrastructure prior to development.
so let's say, Richard, that our fire marshal says, well, that's great, but if you don't fund our fire department, we can't provide you fire service to that new development. Is that an option?
The loss of revenue to District 21, but you'd still be required by statute to provide service to the area.
Can we provide a commensurate lesser level of service based on their funding model?
I think that would be, that would be very risky to do that, to basically carve out an area of the district, which is, keep in mind that the property owners within that area, this was not their decision. This is completely a city decision as to whether this area is created in the first place. I think that would subject the district to liability if you provided a different level of service to an area based on the fact that you're not getting full value, same amount of tax revenue you would get from any other part of the district.
Just to clarify, we have identified the area that this is being discussed for, correct? And have we identified the potential loss of revenue stream from it?
No.
I know the area. I have not calculated the potential.
I think this, when I read it, the city was exploring funding options, and this tax increment financing was mentioned, that it's a quote new way of potentially generating money, and that's when I asked the question, well, what impact might that have on the fire district? So in my opinion, what we, potentially you, being our new liaison with the planning
Fantastic.
department with the city, and our fire marshal also would enter into some sort of discussions with the city about what kind of impact this would have on our budget and our services, and maybe it's not the best avenue for them to pursue in an already underfunded fire district.
Is there anything in the statute that requires the city to provide, full disclosure on the amount of revenue they would be diverting?
Well, they won't know exactly how much because that depends on how much the assessed value increases in that area. Their revenue from that area, their additional revenue from the area, because they also have a tax on their own city tax, but the part that is getting diverted is based on the increase in AV times the city's levy rate. That's unknown, and you can make projections, but and the city will do that because more than likely what they'll be doing is getting bonds to fund the development, and the revenue stream from this tax increment financing will be used to retire those bonds.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Questions? Okay, Chief, anything from your end? Thank you very much. All right, well, I guess I know you represent the city and us. What would be your recommendation for us moving forward?
Yeah, I think that and this is the advice I've given to other fire districts that we represent that have encountered this, and that is just get in touch with the city. I do not know at this point where the city may be in the stage of analyzing this and formulating a plan. But I would say talk with the city and engage in a discussion early on that you have an interest in this, you're concerned about the effect on your budget, and exploring alternatives for mitigating that impact on the fire department. I think that's the best strategy because my read of the statute does not give a fire department much in the way of I don't think it gives you much to rely upon in terms of challenge. Like I said, I think it's probably procedural would be about the only grounds you could challenge this on. Till we have some case law that says otherwise, I think it's pretty limited.
Okay, thank you.
I think it starts with either yourself or Commissioner Rayberg and I going to meet with the city manager
Yes.
and find out what their intentions are.
And the mayor. And perhaps this could be added to our legislative discussion topics in Olympia.
It's getting a longer list.
I know. Stay tuned.
Didn't the city just pick up a new city manager or something?
Yes. All right. Thank you, Richard. Appreciate your time.
Thank you. You're
If
welcome.
we have any more questions, we'll let you know.
All right, sounds good.
I thought I'd share the pain. Why not? All right, we will go back to our regular agenda, and the next item is the consent agenda. And that includes the meeting minutes, staff reports, financial reports. So is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Second.
Moved and seconded. Discussion. I've got a revised number here. Jenny, do you know?
It's right on everybody else's. I just didn't redo that.
Oh, okay. So on the packet is the correct number. Okay. All right. And just I'll speak on behalf of the chief here. The monthly expenditures were huge this month. If anyone has paid attention to, wow, January is a big month. The majority of that coming from all of the insurance that's due, the other dues that we pay. There's a lot of things that come in January that have to be paid for the year, and so if you're wondering why the chief is sweating over there, it's because a lot of bills came due in January that we won't see again for the rest of the year, hopefully. So So I'll go ahead and read the totals in. The total expenditures for January were $1,165,295.98. The employee direct deposit payroll, $470,711.96. Payroll taxes, $113,870.78. Benefits vouchers, $240,657.21. Monthly expenditure voucher, $328,662.89. Capital projects apparatus, $5,789.39. Capital project facilities, $5,603.75. Any questions, comments, discussions? Chief, do you want to
Yeah,
highlight
good.
anything from your
Just real
report?
quick, you'll see, if you look at payroll month after month, this January is always up because we have the payout of comp time, any remaining comp time that people had. Also, there's a sick leave payout benefit in the contract, so anybody with over 1,000 hours gets 50% of those hours. Those run anywhere, people can get anywhere from 10 to 60 hours of payout. So there's that. Chief Ward and I, if we don't take vacation throughout the year, you generously buy it down. So there's that because we don't take a lot of vacation. So that's kind of the payroll portion. That's why you see that so high. Payroll taxes, the state, I'll use the word scheme, the paid family medical leave scheme program, whatever. We have no control over it, but they saddled our employees with a large raise of that, where the rate went up. So because if their rate goes up, the employer's rate goes up as well. So you saw an increase in that. The monthly expenditure voucher, like Commissioner Ansel said, we paid $110,000 plus for insurance. That's general liability, vehicle, cyber insurance. The state must have been clearing out all their invoices. Our folks that attended the academy in August, the state patrol finally sent us the invoice to get paid in January. So there's $40,000 there. It's just a lot of, all of our subscriptions to computer scheduling programs, all those things come due in January. So January is traditionally a big month you see a lot go out in January. Next month will be a much more normal, I'd like to call it, knock on wood, normal month as far as expenditures go. But this is a big number, and just wanted to provide some explanation behind why it is.
Perhaps we could make up some of this if the county would give us our EMS money.
February.
Yeah. Holding my breath.
It's just $1 million between friends.
Yeah. Yeah. What's the interest rate on that now?
That's pretty good right now.
I don't know if it's somewhere else in the agenda, but we had a training division change.
Yeah.
It's in your report.
So our training captain made a decision late November to leave the department. So he left on his last day was January 4th. That puts us back into another awkward spot with training. For Commissioner Rigberg's, just historically, this has been a difficult position to keep filled, and if it is filled, to get good product out of it. I feel like if we would turn around and post for this job again, we would be meeting the definition of insanity. So we're taking this time to kind of take a look at what we're doing with training. Why is this position difficult to fill? Why are the troops not getting what they need out of it? Because we've been following the same model for 16 years now. And it suddenly occurred to most of us that, well, gosh, we were doing it for the same 16, the department doesn't look the same now as it did 16 years ago. So we're taking some time to kind of look. We had an all officers meeting in January where we talked with the officers about what do you want to see out of training? What are your expectations? what are your wishes? Kind of took the bugles and the badges off and said, if, you know, not if money was no object, but how can we do this better? It was an interesting conversation. Some good stuff came out of it. I'm not ready to tell you what our plan is yet, because I'll show you a video here. We can't sit down and plan stuff. We just don't have time because we're plugging holes in a dike. But that conversation is ongoing because I only want to do this one more time, and I want to do it right. Training is super important, not just to check boxes to meet legal standards, but it's what keeps our firefighters safe and knowledgeable of what the threats are to them out there. All of you know that. I'm not telling you guys anything you don't know. But for these guys' sake, we need to do it right. And I'm not sure that just having a training captain is the right way to do it. Now that need or that want meets up with the immovable object that is the budget. So it'll be on me and fellow chiefs to figure out how we make that work. I don't have an answer for you right now, but just know that we're in that development stage of trying to figure out what we do next.
Thank you. Any other questions, comments, concerns about the consent agenda? All in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Unanimous. All right, commissioner meeting reports. I'll start. We had a mediation meeting for a personnel issue on the 10th, and nothing was resolved. I attended the Horizon Development hearing yesterday. I guess the sad takeaway from that for me was when the Horizon development was originally planned, it was, correct me, over 400 units. I don't know what the master big project, but it was single family, multifamily, and I think originally there was even some potential light commercial stuff along that connector road that will never get built. The new developers have figured out a way to mitigate their infrastructure costs by making that a private area, so their roads are private, their access is private, and they've chunked up the development into small enough parcels to where they don't have to meet higher mitigation requirements that a large development would have to do. So right now, the one that was on the table was 66 units instead of 400, and so the obligations for 66 units are far less than, I mean, ultimately this project is going to be 400 plus units, but by chunking it up, they circumvent the infrastructure requirements that would normally be required of a development that large. And I guess I have to applaud their consultants and lawyers for figuring that out. But the bottom line is it impacts the fire district. From a response point of view, once they occupy 30 homes in there, the lower gate to that compound development will be open to residents to exit onto Birch Point Drive, which is currently an uncontrolled intersection, and would require stop signs, which would require the county to authorize the stop signs, which just further complicates the travel patterns in that area. So I hate to say it, it's going to be a bunch more houses that we've got to cover, and we're not getting any money for it.
Is this the one that sits up on the top of the hill and overlooks?
Before
Okay.
Selder.
Okay.
Pardon me?
It's quite lovely there.
It is. I don't know if you have anything else to add from a fire department perspective to that hearing or process, but and it's the county fire marshal's jurisdiction.
It is.
Not ours. So the county seems to be just signing off on it. The hearing examiner has seen hundreds of pages of documents and testimony and was very clear that he will follow the rules based on a 66 unit development. And the fact that there is a 20-year agreement signed in '04 by a committee to build that connector road, that's all expired now without anybody being told that it wasn't going to exist anymore. So all those people that were depending on a quick exit out of Birch Bay Village and that Birch Point area will have to wait for maybe another 20 years for them to build that road. But anyway, that's, and then on behalf of Commissioner McMurray, she attended the city council meeting, I believe on the 10th, and wanted me to give this update that the applicants were appointed to the planning commission, and the next meeting is February 9th. I think she forwarded that to you, Matt. The new city manager was hired, and it looks like his start date was the 17th. And then the Blaine Chamber in 2022 hosted 35 events, 7 new ones, including 25 farmers markets, 3 concerts, the Oyster Fest, art tours, 4th of July, Christmas tree lighting, with an attendance of between 500 to 15,000, depending on the event. And also a desire to add more events and to get more Canadian travels to divert through Blaine as they come into the U.S. So I think Commissioner McMurray's question or comment was, is this it's another burden on us, i.e. if they're having these larger events, how do we mitigate 15,000 people gathering in the city of Blaine at one time? Is there I know, and I hate to bring up my former life, when the city of Bellevue did their street fair, there was a stipend to cover additional staffing to cover the number of people that were coming into that event. And I don't know if we could talk to the city about that.
Scott.
Okay. Helping us mitigate perhaps staffing an aid car to be at an event like that. Because with the number of concurrent calls that we currently have, the chances of the Blaine station being available for an aid car at an event like that is probably slim to none.
I'm assuming any of these large events are vetted by the fire marshal for capacity and, correct? Making sure.
I'm not usually involved in most of that. I mean, I do inspections for like street fairs. If there's food vendors coming in, I have to inspect the cooking areas.
It would seem logical that the city would have to make sure that the appropriate resources are there and that the city would have to pay for, emergency response to be there, hiring off-duty people. It would defy logic if they don't.
They haven't in the past.
Yeah.
It's just been assumed that we will be there, and
You can't really tank 15,000 people into downtown Blaine and expect the city or the county to cover that. That's not reasonable.
I agree. And it's become, they've been doing the big event is the 4th of July parade.
Mhm.
And that's really only gotten big, I would say, in the last, 5 years or something like that. And 10 years or so, 10 years. And, it was just kind of goes back to our volunteer days, I guess, where we just, okay, we're going to buck up and do this. But yeah, the past couple of years, it's becoming it's a financial impact to the district. And you're right, it needs to be.
The financial impact is, one thing, but, public safety issue is another, and it's a public safety issue.
Right.
And
Right.
I mean, that clearly necessitates a partnership with the city to help resolve that. And I do think we need to look into that.
Yep.
I would like to put that on your list of things to talk to the planning.
It's already, as I'm speaking, the mental note has already been chiseled into the forefront of my quasi-functional brain. Yeah, it's troubling to me that we would have all these events and not have the city make the appropriate accommodations between police and fire.
I mean, I think for once we might be on the front end of the curve on something like this as the city is growing and the community is getting bigger.
Sure.
And we aren't a volunteer fire department anymore, that we have these discussions and say, well, remember when Mayberry used to live here? We aren't that anymore. And if you're,
Possible that
if you're going to host all these events, which we certainly endorse and applaud and want to have happen, but with that comes these associated risks and liabilities. And the last thing you would want is to, have someone's tent collapse and we don't have anybody closer than 15 minutes away to come help.
I'm sure our attorney would
Yeah.
be somebody to speak to about that as
Because
well.
we're on concurrent alarms, right?
Yeah, it's not that
It's not that
we
we're not.
don't want to
not
go,
doing
we
our work.
can't.
Which, I mean, all of this ties back into our attorney's initial PowerPoint about money being diverted. It's
Makes it even
a
worse.
scary congruence of fact.
Yeah.
All right, that was fun.
Yeah,
Yeah.
county commissioners update?
Yeah, we had our first yearly meeting. The board is looking for a president and a vice president. We're using the same president and vice president from the years past. If you're up and willing, talk to Rob Roy. He'll be more than happy to hear from you. I did accept the position for the North Sound again to represent them. We talked about
Is this your second term or third?
for the North Sound?
Yeah.
Second.
Because I was reading the bylaws.
Yeah, maybe it was third. So yeah, we were gonna update our constitution and bylaws from 2014. So we're gonna be doing that. We also talked about our EMS money and had the EMS director come in and give excuses of why we don't have our money, but we should be expecting that in February. So that was basically it in a nutshell.
Do you sense that this group is very effective at this point?
I would like to say yes, but we don't have the representative from our district at our meetings. I don't know why. I haven't asked why, but he hasn't been in the last two.
From the state?
From the state.
Okay.
And usually when the state guy comes down, he talks about the legislative date, what we're going to be talking about, who to talk to, things like that. And it just hasn't happened in the last couple, 3 months. So
Fair enough. I'd be president of the Whatcom County Fire Commission Association.
No, you don't.
yeah, Jason was there. He can tell you it was. We did make recommendation to purchase a screen and a soundboard to be installed at Station 12. And we're going to go ahead and do that, and we're going to hand the bill off to Mike Hilly so the county and the paramedic program can pay for it.
And this would be to Zoom stuff or to live stream?
Correct.
Okay.
All the above.
Oh, they passed their levy. They should have a few extra dollars laying around.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's been a topic for a year.
Right.
And we didn't know where it was, so I brought it up the other night of, hey, where are we at with this? And decided to go ahead and have Jason and Holly spearhead it and take it on and get it complete.
Hey, another project for Casey.
You know what? It's already 99% completed. So
Fair enough.
I pointed to the guy that I turned over to somebody else and he took care of it. So
Strong work. Proud of you. All right, any other reports? Local 106. Welcome back. Oh, sorry. Good timing.
All the rest of my practice. Good afternoon, thank you. We have our 10 new people that have started. We got 5 on the floor. We got 5 people that are just started doing days and get ready to go to academy. So we're excited to get them back. The 5 new people seem to be doing great as a third on the crew, so we're really happy to have them. Tomorrow at Custer Elementary, we're doing Operation Warm, where we pass out coats to kids that might need them. So we got the union involved in that. We're excited that one of the schools chosen was up here at local North Whatcom School. And then in the big local 106, Ken didn't run this year, Ken Cunningham. And so we have Scott Farrell is the new president. He's a Bellingham member. So Scott and I are still involved in our union, our local department. And then we got Danny Jensen still doing the books for the big local. So we still got a few members involved, and that's all we have at this time.
Okay,
Thank you.
you bet. Anything else? Did Scott have any?
nothing else other than that yesterday we had labor management and so we met with Chris and Scott and then Scott Farrell, the new local 106 president. So he and I could get, we've known each other, but kind of more formally introduced. And there was, I'd say, a good commitment from both our admin and the local 106 leadership to continue the good relationship we have working together, you know, collaborative problem solving, things like that. So I'm looking forward to the change in leadership.
All right. Legal issues was covered. Unfinished business, District 4 had their meeting and they're working with Liz Loomis.
Working with Liz Loomis, we've been sending her data and all the stuff. It's similar to the RFA run up, kind of when we first started with Karen Reed. So yeah, just been answering questions for them, and they have another meeting on the 9th as well, I believe, February 9th.
February 9th.
Steve Cooley has been elected the board chair for District 4 for this year. And Tim Johnson is the vice chair. So that's good to see. I know Commissioner Land did a lot of heavy lifting and wants to take a break. So it's good to have both of them in those positions. And yeah, I'll continue to provide you updates. But this was really the kickoff meeting and kind of high level. This is the data I need to start formulating the outreach to the citizens. So this has taken a lot different look than we did prior. Liz is going to do basically a letter to every single residence in District 4 from the board outlining pretty bluntly why they're at where they're at and the need for future funding or what their one option is. And the first couple of drafts are pretty brutal. So,
But truthful.
but very truthful. Yep. Nothing. She's not being dramatic. She's just calling it like it is. So this will be interesting to watch.
Is that a Zoom meeting with,
It is a Zoom
do you
meeting.
know what time it is?
I can send you.
I would kind of like to follow that because
I have a recording of the
that
first.
will dovetail into her services at some point.
I'll send out a link for you all to be able to watch the first one. It's about an hour, and so there may be stuff you want to fast forward through, but I think it would be interesting. And yeah, I won't hide the fact that she's definitely auditioning for Act 2.
Where's she located at?
She's from like the Marysville, Lake Stevens area, I think, but she works all up and down the west side.
WSRB.
Heard nothing from her.
Okay.
I did talk with Chief Knowles, the new chief at South Whatcom.
Mhm.
They were a couple months before us, and they just got theirs. So
Okay. Any other unfinished business? Oh, did you want to show something?
Yeah, I think I'm
Just
struggling
rather-
with whether this is new business or unfinished. I think calling it new business is disingenuous. I'd like to share a video with all of you
Good at you.
that was taken at Station 63 yesterday. It'll be up on the screen here.
Sure. You need a shower. Go to the little arrow on the far right of that little box. The grade, the subject. There's a drop down arrow. Right there. See if that'll open.
It opens it, but it's only on his screen.
Uh-oh.
All right. This is not a water feature.
Yeah, it is.
Orient us.
Yep. Let me
Sorry.
Okay, so that is in the apparatus bay at Station 63. Station 63 is the station on Birch Bay Linden Road. This has been, the corners there have been, that's inside the apparatus bay. That's the northeast corner. So there's been some water leakage in that building at the scuppers, kind of in the corners. A trickle. This was yesterday. We had some pretty heavy rain mid-morning, and this is what the crew went out there to find. The reason I had Commissioner Ansel, I shared it with Commissioner Ansel yesterday, and I think I just wrote, "Will this ever stop?" And he replied, "Nope."
Sorry.
Asked me to share it with Northern Light, and we thought about it for a second, and then we're concerned about LNI. Actually thought about putting it on social media on our Facebook page. But LNI has a habit of watching fire departments' social media pages, and with the fact that that was running behind electrical lines, I was a little concerned about. So anyway, in addition to that video yesterday, I was also informed that while Captain Smith was in his bunk the other night, the ceiling tiles in his room came down. That room had water in it after the freeze thaw that we had in late December, early January. So there was a leak in that room. The ceiling tile that had been affected was taken out. The guys cleaned it up as best they could, but it continues. So he was in his bunk, and boom, he didn't get hit by anything, but they came down around him. What do we do? So we have a couple options. What's that?
I said I know what they did with the kingdom.
Well, that's funny you should say that. We quite honestly, what we're going to do is and there's been for years and years, there's been people have commented. I've had it myself. You work at 63, the next morning you walk away with the sniffles. So what we're doing is we're having an air quality company come in, and we're going to test 63, and we're going to test 62. We're actually going to test 69 as well, since we one trip charge. We may have to look at moving Station 63 to Station 62. I don't know what else to do. The station is continually leaking. We've had Axiom, which is a highly reputable roofing company, come out and
Say, last year we spent some money on that
we
roof.
spent a lot of money on this stuff. But the building has just been, the roof has been neglected. It wasn't repaired or replaced when it was supposed to be replaced, deferred maintenance. And we've got this in the apparatus bay. We've got leaks in the living quarters. I'm sorry, gentlemen, I don't know what else to do. 62 is our next viable option for housing people in a high call volume area. I hesitated outing that at this meeting because it's going to take off like wildfire through the troops. Where are we going to put the truck? We've only got 2 base spaces there. We may have to figure it out. I don't know what else to do. I can hear the Semiahmoo residents cheering, but I also see in my mind a sign that says, on the Birch Bay station, that the sign we've got there, station closed. Come see us at 9001 Semiahmoo Parkway.
Isn't the Semiahmoo Parkway location requiring some significant maintenance and repair as well?
That's why we're going to get the air quality checked there, because to see if that's even a viable option.
And the repairs that were done on the station last year, aren't they under warranty
Which does at
on Birch Bay?
totally
Different spot. Okay.
different spot. Each time it breaks something else. And the problem is, Ben, it's wintertime and the freeze thaw cycles. It's just tearing that roof apart.
And that roof is set up where it's a styrofoam, dense styrofoam insulation with a membrane over the top, and that membrane's given up, so water is actually permeated into the styrofoam over time. And you know how water goes. It could be over here, but it comes in over there. So that roof is just decayed to the point where, this year we were actually looking at having to replace half of the roof on the west side, just because that's the only fix that we can do to stop the leaking.
Did we go out to bid before when we were initially getting it repaired for like a roof replacement, or was it just
We
out?
did not look at any roof replacement just based on the cost. I mean,
Sure.
just we called them for repairs. They came out and did some repairs and suggested, look, we can put you on like a schedule. And each time they go out there, they provide a great report. But we kind of asked, like, so what are we talking roof replacement? And the guy winced and, talked about 6 figures type stuff. So we were trying.
How many square foot of a facility?
7,000 square feet.
Okay.
It's big. Yeah, it's a 7, and really it's the first third of the building that would need to be replaced, the roof on that building.
And they were talking 6 figures for 7,000 square foot building?
Well, that was not the estimator. That was the lead on the job.
That seems extreme.
It doesn't, I like to buy once, cry once. So I want to do it right. I don't, and I feel like now looking at this video, talking to Captain Smith, I feel like, have we really done it right, or do we piecemeal just like we did before?
Plus there's unknown damage from the actual water hitting whatever, electric, and
How long has the water's been going in there?
we have water pooling and electric right now, creating additional hazards and corrosion.
We don't believe so. There's not been any electrical problems at the station.
Yeah, don't say that.
So there's more that I don't know that I can tell you. I can just tell you that we're triaging it right now, trying to figure out what to do, keep our crews safe, keep them healthy, and still be able to provide the response in the area that's needed. And we do have potentially 62 could be buttoned up and made ready to go relatively shortly. But I want it done right the first time. I will tell you.
Well, it needs to be done right.
That as I don't have nothing to present to you today, but we did get a look at what it would take to re-side, redo the exterior of 62, which is a concern. Now, we didn't just re-side it with LP or with, Hardy Plank. We took a look at what would it cost to update it as well. That's about $1 million to make it fit kind of the neighborhood, provide some more some, it was more, came in with like, not just hardy plank siding.
Well, it's hardy board. Instead of hardy plank, it's their panel material. You're seeing a lot of homes built with panel material now, and the idea is to update that building to make it look like a fire station, not a house. And so we contracted with Highline Construction, who has an architect on staff. We've met with them, and they've come up with a preliminary drawing and plan that they would recommend. And again, they've kind of gone through the exterior with their estimators and that, and the list just kept getting longer and longer and longer. And so, the biggest concern is we've got that one wall removed in the training room, and we know what's ahead of us in that area. And their concern is what else are they going to find as they start pulling siding off around that building? So,
And I will add in that $1 million estimate, $1 million plus estimate, we also had them look at the windows.
Windows, the HVAC,
And the wall of windows, that front, that huge front window. We had them redo that, a lot more economical, with stuff you can buy without having, those are all wood sash.
Yeah, and the wood sashes are deteriorating as well.
So,
and that million also, like I said, also includes, that building needs its water heaters replaced, the HVAC updated. If we staff it, it's got to have a point capture system in it. So we had them include that into the price, knowing full well we've already got bids for the water heaters, and we know what the cost for the point capture system is. And when you add all those three things in, that's really only about $125,000 out of that whole bill. So it's a small amount, but it's also in there.
So anyway, like I said, I don't have any answers for you. I'm just sorry to do this, but I'm just bringing the problem. It's
Nothing money can't fix,
It's
right?
a health and safety problem. It really is. It's a health and safety problem.
You're right,
How-
and go ahead, sorry, Scott.
How far away is the breakers in the main? Power
way far away. Very far away. We've seen no water anywhere near any of the
Electrical
panels, the alarm panels, nothing like that. We're not. So.
Air quality is important, so once we get those reports, I guess, then you'll be able to make a recommendation.
Yep.
Thank you for adding to our grief today.
Yep.
I feel pretty happy right
Do
now.
ya? I want some of whatever you're taking. All right, any other unfinished business? We'll move on to new business. We need to, it's January, elect board positions. So we've got chair and vice chair. And I will open nominations for chair. Cool,
Yeah, so-
we won't have one.
Bruce Ansel.
Pardon me?
Bruce Ansel.
Second.
Are there any other nominations for board chair? I've done this before. There's term limits, right?
48.
Kimberly.
Oh. Oh, thanks, Kimberly. Appreciate the support. All right, so I've been nominated and seconded it and pretty much. Scott, do you want to vote?
I think you're doing a great job.
Oh, thank you. All right, so all in favor of maintaining myself as board chair?
Aye.
Congratulations.
Thank you. A majority of members voted to maintain me as the chair of the board. I appreciate that you have confidence in me or nobody wants to do the job, but I do take it seriously, and I think I have a great working relationship with the chief and admin, so, and the union, I would hope
Correct, yep.
to add.
Agreed.
So let's get some stuff done this year. Vice chair is currently held by Mr. Crawford. Are you still interested, or does anyone else have an interest? Kimberly, you're out there. Where do you want to weigh in on this?
She did say that she votes for you, and you do a great job. So, sorry, I just want to catch you up on that.
Oh, thank you. Now that that's been resolved.
You're gonna be vice chair as
Let's,
well.
yeah, I was gonna say. Any ideas for vice chair, Kimberly?
Are you still enjoying the spot?
If anybody wants it, they can have it.
John has been nominated. I'll second that. Anyone else interested? Are you interested? Or are you gonna be busy with the planning department?
I probably will be getting very involved with the planning department, but I'm happy to take on whatever workload.
All right.
You can have it. That's fine. I have no problems.
Well, and that's not what he said. I heard him say he'd be happy to do all other assignments.
Oh, I thought he said he'd be happy to be vice president. That's fine. I'll take it for another term.
All right, all in favor of John as the vice chair?
Aye.
And I saw Kimberly's vote, so I'll vote in favor of that, and then we'll give Matt a lot of other work to do.
Fantastic.
All right, so the rest is outside meetings. I know that Kimberly currently is doing a wonderful job with the Blaine City Council, and appreciate her timely reports when she attends those. Are you good with staying with that assignment, Kimberly? Okay, so we'll keep Kimberly with Blaine City Council. Are you still okay with the fire commissioners
You bet.
stuff?
You
Since
bet.
you're the most schooled on
Sure.
all of those, and then you're the north
Yeah.
rep anyway,
Yeah.
so. All right, John Crawford will do the council, or Whatcom County Fire Commissioners. Matt.
Sure.
We talked about the city planning commission meetings and that. Are you happy to follow that?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
And maybe pursue some of these topics that came up today?
With fervor.
All right. Anything else that, Scott, is there anything that you're madly passionate about?
No.
Jenny, are we missing any?
First grade chamber.
Yeah, all their meetings are, now.
Right.
Although I read in their last newsletter that they're gonna move to some evening, maybe every other month or something, because there are obviously people who run businesses who can't leave. I mean, I'm happy to stay in touch with that group. I wouldn't mind going to the evening ones, because I certainly can't attend these Thursday ones when they do their normal stuff. So I get all their newsletters. I visit the chamber probably at least once a week just to chit chat and get caught up. So I'm happy to follow up as a neighbor and board representative. I seem to get asked questions a lot by the people who live in that area, so I can take that on. Anything else that we're missing?
Blaine Chamber, is anybody? a group we want to.
I don't think it's a bad idea, and I'd be more than happy to reach out to them, partner up with them.
I mean, I think I've found this past year that just being out at whatever meetings I go to or events to have just a casual discussion and ask people things about the fire district and sort of inform them on what's going on. And I think the more that we can get the word out, the easier it will be to sell these people on what our needs are currently and increasingly in the future here. So, as you said, if it's not seen, people don't
think about it.
don't care or think about it. So we've been real good over the years of the fire service in general of not tooting our own horns, and it's not working so well right now. All right.
But before we move out of new business, I have to go back to the status of the fire stations. Because I'm really troubled by that, just for 1 second. This is like an exigent situation. You have stuff falling down on bunks that people sleep in and are housed in. And am I correct in understanding that presently we don't have an escape plan to move people elsewhere until it's safe?
Well, I would say we don't have an escape plan. I would choose to move them to 62. That's the logical place for them to go.
When will this be done?
Well, the testing is February 2nd. We're going to be testing the air samples at those 3 stations for mold, allergens, and volatile chemicals to make sure that, one, they're safe to house people in. The concern with 62 is that it still needs the exterior replaced on it. And our concern is that what type of mold, or do we have mold that's already infiltrated into that building because of moisture? So we're kind of
You're in limbo.
we're waiting in limbo until we can get that answer back.
And if neither one's an option, then we're going to have to rent a residential type trailer and put it at 63, and the crews will have to live out there. And when they need apparatus, they'll go to the station, and that'll be how it's set up. I mean, it's been done before. It's not ideal. It's what's typically done after, hurricanes or tornadoes down south. It's been done for buildings, stations in construction. I just feel like if we've already got a building that can be used, let's use it. But yeah, that's an additional cost. 63,
It's a significant cost, yeah.
Well, and the way 63 is laid out on its lot, there's almost no good spot to put one. Damned if you do, damned if you don't.
But there is a good place to put it over at the other one, though, if you need to, right?
No, well, at 62, we could put it in the backyard. We'll see how long the neighbors enjoy that for. But desperate times call for desperate measures. So
Okay. Thank you.
yeah, it's really embarrassing.
I get that part.
I reached out to Captain Smith yesterday to apologize to him, because that's just like, I won't even use the words. It's really poor. It's bad.
I understand.
And know that I was concerned as you. I can tell you're quite concerned, and I am as well.
I'll say it's a multifaceted problem, but I don't know that this right now is the appropriate forum to discuss it. I know what you're talking about, the embarrassment, the morale,
Right.
It's the fire department, shiny and new. It's fire. So I will not let this one go.
Thank you. And the troops appreciate that as well.
Yeah, well, it hits close to home for me from my old stuff, so. All right, sorry, yeah.
No. Glad you're interested. Next item on new business is the future district planning meeting topics and dates. So, you've asked, we really haven't had a quote retreat for a while. COVID had, put a damper on our ability to get together and brainstorm and plan. And so, I suggested that we look at our calendars, or perhaps Jenny send out some dates.
I haven't sent out.
No, but
I will.
that we ask you to do that and coordinate with the chief's time and schedule. But
Well, I think our future planning meeting should take place at the different buildings to give us a firsthand
you're
view of.
welcome to stop by and
Oh, yeah. Well,
bring your sleeping bag.
As I would. I will.
And a Kevlar shield.
Yeah. Sorry.
No. So some of the things that have sort of been tossed around were, goals and direction from the board's perspective. I think the chief would appreciate any ideas or thoughts that the board has that we may have not clearly communicated to him and his staff. Although I think I don't have any secrets. I think we've always, brought stuff up as it has, but I think we as a board need to provide that direction. Where are we headed? I know where I think we're headed, but maybe we need to have a discussion and a clear idea of, do we keep doing things the way we're currently doing them, or do we have to reevaluate how spread out we are and what that means to be able to provide a quality service? Financing, obviously, I think now with facilities issues coming up, we may have to start talking bonding or borrowing to get through fixing up stuff. I mean, we could have a commissioner bond that doesn't have to go to the public, that would buy us some time, and then we could pay that back at a future election. But I mean, we need money yesterday.
Yeah.
And we may just have to have a commissioner bond. And I guess right now I would ask you to find out what our limits are on that number. If you haven't already looked.
That was the unfortunate discussion we had yesterday, is that we may be at that point where.
Well,
I don't want to be the guy to get us back into debt, but I guess that's.
You know what? If the public won't fund us, we're gonna have to borrow money. So, I think they want us to get there when they call 911, and the only way we can do that is borrow money. Then they need to know that, and that's not our fault. Somebody's got to pay for it.
They asked us to come 6,000 times last year.
Yeah. So, anyway, if between now and then you could find out what our limits are, how much we're allowed to, what the problem with a commissioner sponsored bond is that comes out of your annual. You're basically loaning yourself money, and you're paying it back over a 10, 15, 20, 25 year plan, but that comes out of your operating budget. So if you're borrowing $5 million, do the math, figure out what your annual payment is, and then a monthly payment to pay down your bond debt, but that comes out of the budget. So it's not $5 million coming out of your budget on January 1, but it's $5 million coming out of your budget over a period of 20 years or whatever the time. So perhaps if you could get us some numbers on that. Yeah, how to get the community involved and on board, we're certainly having those discussions. I think Liz Loomis, that's working with D4, that's a person we should look to and follow her meetings with D4 to see how she is planning for them. And I'd kind of like to have this done before April. So maybe, I don't know what dates work better. I mean, it probably would, I hate to say it, it'd probably be best to have it on a Saturday and, you know, plan lunch and do a 6-hour max kind of day study session. You'll be in charge of games.
It's fantastic.
We've already had one of those in the past.
I do think Saturday is most appropriate, and 6 hours may be enough for the first meeting.
Okay, all right. So does that sound reasonable to you folks?
I think so.
Kimberly, you got a thumbs up back there somewhere? All right, so maybe you work with Jenny and figure out what weekends don't work and send some out. Is there anything that anybody knows right now that is an absolute, I can't do it? Just so that we don't even bother wasting our time.
You said before April, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
this weekend's out. The 11th is out. I can't do February 11th.
See, that was the day I was hoping that we could do
Yeah,
it.
that was my pick too.
Oh, go ahead. You're the vice chair. You can take care of it. Let me know how
Oh,
it
wait,
goes.
I guess it doesn't work for me.
Okay.
It would need, I would no sooner than the 18th or the 25th of February. I think
Yeah.
we gotta do a little research, so.
Oh, no. I'm just,
The 18th is out for Commissioner.
Okay.
Marie, already.
Okay, so February 18th is out for her.
so maybe we'll start with the 25th and the 4th and the 11th. Let's throw those 3 dates out. Does that work? Anybody have any issues? February 28th, March 4th, March 11th.
Not that I know of right now. That
And
sounds-
we'll get a vote and come up with what works best and go from there.
Are we limited on the space to, say, put portables out there for sleeping quarters
At 63,
at 63 or?
well, I think the footprint there, its driveway is on both sides. I guess you'd have to go in that back corner by the shop
Right,
where
and
we
that's not
park all
level
the rigs.
ground. It's
It's waterlogged later.
it's waterlogged, not level. I mean,
The other thing is you gotta make sure we've got facility connections, you know, water and sewer capability without having to do a major tear up of the front area or the driveway areas.
may actually have to be in the front parking lot.
Okay. Put it sideways in there. Right? Right in that grassy knoll. Let's hope we don't have to do that, but it's been done before. I've lived in one a couple different times. Actually, in some of them, it's actually better. So, but all right. So, any other new business? Correspondence. So, tell me about the grant thing. What was that? We requested that for what?
That grant was for communications,
Okay.
new radios, new portables that we haven't had any replacements on for, well, since we've been here, so 16, almost 17 years. We've been patching those up as well. I did get a contact back from Lexipol, the grant writing entity of Lexipol. They took a look at our grant. They wanted to know if there was any details as to why we were turned down I sent them that letter as well. They're reviewing our grant from last year to see if there was any changes that need to be made, and we can resubmit it for 2023. We'll have to do some changes with obviously the financial side of things because we've decreased some of our reserves comparatively to what we had in there from last year. So that's kind of the plan right now. I don't have the full answer back from them. Before the meeting, they just sent me an email, so I haven't even had a chance to read it and digest it as far as what their suggestions are. So.
Okay, and then in conjunction with that, Commissioner McMurray has signed up for a grant writing course at Whatcom Community College. There's level 1 and 2 grant writing. She's asked for permission to attend that, and both Jason and I said yes, please. And so we'll have somebody on the board that has learned a little bit about grant writing process and maybe can work with you and whatever. And I asked her to get in contact with you. She's sick right now, but to ask what specific things would you want to go after in a grant so that as she takes these courses, she can kind of keep her eyes and ears open. If it's communications equipment, great. You know, if it's a new fire station, better. You know, if there's equipment or things that are grantable, if you would communicate that to her, then she could work that into her studies. Okay. Anything else? The state legislative session for the commissioners is
February 17th.
Yeah, so I've asked Jenny to make reservations for the chief and I to attend that, and we're currently working on some talking points to meet with our state reps. I think currently we've got the 1% tax issue, the Bell Road intersection, and the California Creek Bridge connector as needed funding issues. And then I'd kind of like to add today's topic of the tax increment financing, and I'm really curious to know who sponsored that bill. Because it's just a money grab from junior taxing districts is all it is. I'm shocked that we weren't, well, it sounds like the state fire commissioners were aware of it, but this is the first we've heard of it.
I didn't see it.
So it didn't trickle down or up to us. Anyway, all right. Next meeting is the 16th. I know Kimberly is going to be out of town. Is everyone else? Oh, that's the day we would leave for the pledge, wouldn't it?
Yeah, right after.
Yeah.
I already looked at that.
Everyone okay on the 16th?
Yeah.
Yes.
All right, I'm good. I think everyone's good except Kimberly. She's going to be out of town and said that she probably won't be able to Zoom. Next meeting agenda items.
Facilities update?
Yeah, let's do that.
That would be nice.
Let's keep the,
Sorry, I'm laughing. I don't know what else to do.
well, at some
When
point,
all else fails, just find humor.
humorous self-preservation.
Yeah.
The D4 Liz Loomis update, see where we're at, if they're having a meeting on the 9th. WSRB, please give us a check from Whatcom County EMS. And then any other planning discussion topics for the planning meeting. Anybody else have any issues, items? Let's see, when is you can do that during reports if you meet with the planning commission on whenever that is.
I wrote it down.
Okay, is anything else, Jenny? All right. We need an executive session to RCW 42.30.110 Section G to evaluate the qualifications of an applicant for public employment or to review the performance of a public employee. There will be no action taken after the executive session. I'm going to say 15 minutes, so we will adjourn to executive session until 12:40. So.
Ish.
Go use the restroom.
Okay.
And we are back.
All right, we're back in session after executive session. We need to. Hey, it's exactly 12:47.
You did well.
I finally nailed
You did
one.
well.
Okay.
If I were speaking, it would have gone much
All
longer.
right, I appreciate that.
Thank you.
Reconvene at 12:47. There's no further business before the board. We need to sign documents. Kimberly will make arrangements to sign whatever she needs. And I will move to adjourn the meeting.
Second,
All in favor?
aye.
Kimberly says yes. John says yes. It's unanimous. Meeting's adjourned. Thank you.